The story of Jacob and his coat of many colours is one of the most enduring narratives from the Hebrew Bible. Found in the book of Genesis, chapters 37 through 50, this tale involves themes of parental favoritism, sibling rivalry, betrayal, and eventual forgiveness and redemption. At its core, it tells the story of Joseph, Jacob's 11th son, and the trials and triumphs he experiences as a result of his father's overt favoritism, symbolized by a richly ornamented coat. Jacob's family dynamics. Jacob, also known as Israel, had 12 sons who would become the progenitors of the 12 tribes of Israel. His family dynamics were complex, involving multiple wives and concubines. Joseph was born to Jacob's favorite wife, Rachel, making him particularly cherished by his father. This preferential treatment is epitomized in the gift of the coat of many colors, a symbol of Jacob's special affection for Joseph. The coat itself, often described as a coat of many colors, is a subject of debate among scholars. The original Hebrew term, ketonet pasim, can be translated variously, but the prevailing interpretation is that it was a richly ornamented, multicolored garment which would have been a visible and unmistakable sign of Jacob's favoritism. Joseph's dreams. Adding to the tension in the family, Joseph had 2 dreams that he shared with his brothers, further inciting their envy and hatred. In the first dream, he saw sheaves of wheat in a field, where his sheaf stood upright while his brothers' sheaves gathered around and bowed down to it. In the second dream, the sun, moon, and 11 stars bowed down to him. These dreams suggested that Joseph would one day rule over his family, a notion that his brothers found intolerable. The brothers' betrayal. The resentment toward Joseph reached a climax when Jacob sent him to check on his brothers who were tending the flocks. Seeing him approach, the brothers conspired to kill him. However, Reuben, the eldest, convinced them to throw Joseph into a dry cistern instead, intending to rescue him later. When Reuben was absent, the brothers decided to sell Joseph to a caravan of Ishmaelite traders for 20 pieces of silver. They then dipped Joseph's coat in goat's blood and presented it to Jacob, leading him to believe that Joseph had been devoured by a wild animal. Joseph's trials in Egypt. Joseph's journey took him to Egypt, where he was sold to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh. Despite his hardships, Joseph prospered due to his intelligence, work ethic, and the favor of God. Potiphar's wife, however, falsely accused him of attempting to seduce her after he resisted her advances, leading to his imprisonment. Even in prison, Joseph's abilities stood out, and he was put in charge of the other prisoners. Joseph's ability to interpret dreams came to the fore once again when he correctly interpreted the dreams of Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker. This skill eventually brought him to Pharaoh's attention when Pharaoh himself had troubling dreams that none of his advisors could explain. Joseph interpreted Pharaoh's dreams as a prediction of 7 years of abundance, followed by 7 years of severe famine, and suggested a plan to store surplus grain during the plentiful years. Impressed by Joseph's wisdom, Pharaoh appointed him as second in command of Egypt, tasked with preparing the nation for the upcoming famine. Reunion and reconciliation. The famine affected not only Egypt but also the surrounding regions, including Canaan, where Jacob and his family lived. Hearing that there was grain in Egypt, Jacob sent his sons, except Benjamin, Rachel's other son, to buy food. Joseph recognized his brothers when they came to buy grain, but they did not recognize him. Joseph concealed his identity, testing their characters through a series of interactions that eventually led them to bring Benjamin to Egypt. Joseph's emotional reunion with his brothers culminated in his revealing his identity. He reassured them, explaining that their actions, while intended for harm, were used by God to save many lives, including their own. Joseph invited his entire family to live in Egypt, ensuring their survival during the remaining years of famine. Themes and lessons. The story of Jacob and his coat of many colours, intertwined with the larger narrative of Joseph, encompasses several profound themes. Favoritism and its consequences. Jacob's overt favoritism toward Joseph sowed seeds of discord among his sons, demonstrating the dangers of parental partiality. This favoritism not only alienated Joseph from his brothers, but also set off a chain of events that drastically altered their lives. Resilience and faith. Joseph's unwavering faith in God, despite his misfortunes, highlights the virtue of resilience. His journey from favored son to slave and prisoner, and ultimately to a powerful leader, underscores the importance of maintaining faith and integrity in the face of adversity. Forgiveness and redemption. The culmination of Joseph's story is marked by forgiveness and reconciliation. Despite the grievous wrongs committed against him, Joseph chose to forgive his brothers, paving the way for healing and unity within his family. His ability to see God's hand in his suffering illustrates a profound understanding of divine providence and grace. Providence and purpose. Joseph's declaration that what his brothers meant for evil, God used for good, emphasizes the theme of divine providence. This idea reassures believers that even in the midst of suffering and injustice, there is a greater purpose and plan at work. The narrative of Jacob and his coat of many colors, and the subsequent saga of Joseph, is a rich tapestry of human emotions and divine intervention. It serves as a timeless reminder of the complexities of familial relationships, the power of forgiveness, and the resilience of the human spirit. This story, revered in Jewish, Christian, and Islamic traditions, continues to inspire and teach valuable life lessons, demonstrating that adversity can be transformed into triumph through faith, integrity, and compassion.